Welcome back everyone. So today we are continuing on with the Knight of the Zealot campaign, part 3, the Devourer Below. If you remember from last time, the first scenario, Roland was at home investigating some bloody disappearances when he heard some noise coming from his parlour, some scratching from the ground below. He went through his parlour, down through a door underneath his rug, parleyed with Lita Chandler, killed a Gould priest, burnt his house down, suffered some mental trauma. Then him and Lita went on a rampage around Arkham looking for a bunch of cultists. They managed to get 3 out of the deck, but not actually put any in the victory display. And then Roland got defeated by physical trauma, which means now he goes into the final scenario, Devourer Below, with 1 mental and 1 physical trauma. As a result of the last campaign, the last scenario, nothing much changed. I think we did get 1 XP, but I chose not to upgrade the deck. We're going into this one limping a little bit, but that's okay. The setup for the scenario, I've got all the cards there in the encounter deck, and then down here it says that you can randomly choose one of the 4 encounter sets, the Agents of Yog-Sothoth, the Agents of Shub-Niggurath, the Agents of Cthulhu, or the Agents of Hasta, and these sets are indicated by these following icons. So I asked my beautiful assistant to choose one of those at random, and we ended up with the Agents of Cthulhu going into this encounter deck. So as far as replayability goes, this will always be random, so you're never going to know which one of these encounter sets ends up in there. I know because I'm a naughty boy and I shouldn't know. Right, so the other 3 encounter set out of these 3 just get removed from the game. The cultists that got away have been recorded into our campaign log, and there were 5 that got away, all 6 in fact, but it did say that if it was agenda 1 you would add the 6th one, but we were on agenda 2 when we resigned last time, or were defeated last time. And the consequence of that is that we need to put 3 Doom on the agenda. So we're already starting with 3 of 4 Doom because Roland did so badly last time. We have to add 1 more token to the Chaos bag, which is this Elder Thing. So the Elder Thing is going to go in there. Elder Things are -5. If there's an Ancient one enemy in play, reveal another token. It's not past midnight, so that doesn't affect the campaign log, and the Gould priest is long dead, so he isn't in the encounter deck either. As before, there are some set aside cards here that may come out depending on what comes out of my deck. There's also a bunch of cards here that we may have to use later, and the usual set these cards aside thing is that little pile there. So let me just make sure I can shuffle this encounter deck, because I do not want things coming up repeatedly, because that would be awful. And then we can read the introduction to this scenario. After a frantic nighttime search throughout Arkham, you have tracked down and questioned several members of the cult. Your findings are disturbing. They claim to worship a being named as Umildorth, a monstrous entity from another realm. You're able to confirm much of Lita's story. The cult is agitated over the destruction of the Gould lair. However, a surprising detail also turns up. The one who invaded the lair and set this night's event in motion was none other than Lita Chandler herself. You're not sure why this important detail was omitted from Lita's story. Did she tell you only as much as was necessary to draw you into her conflict? But in another light, she seems to be fighting to protect the city of Arkham from a terrible menace. The final piece of the puzzle was found written in a journal possessed by one of the cultists. It describes a dark ritual to be performed deep within the woods of South Arkham this very night. According to the journal, the ritual's completion will open a gate and bring forth the cult's dark master into this world. If the cult is not stopped, Lita warns, there is a possibility that Umildorth's vengeance will consume all in its path. Frightened but determined to stop the ritual, you head into the woods. Okie doke, so there we are, that's the intro. Agenda 1 says Arkham Woods. From interrogating the members of the conspiracy within Arkham, you have learned that they are performing a rite of vengeance in response to the destruction of one of their master's lairs. You have entered the woods outside Arkham to try and stop them. The woods seem unnaturally cold and filled with a deathly silence. Investigating the trail, Act 1A. The evidence you gathered has led you into the woods south of Arkham, where you believe a ritual to summon a being called Umudorth is about to take place. Stealing your resolve, you set forth deeper into the woods, hoping to find the site of this ritual. So we've got Doom Threshold of 4, we're 3 of 4. We need 3 clues to advance the act. We are starting the game in the main path. We are in the woods. Hangman's Brook separates Uptown from the woods south of Arkham. Passing over a small bridge, you follow the main path deeper into the forest. Let's find out what our opening hand is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, Dr. Milan, there he is. There's my boy. Start off with 5 resources, something I forgot to do last time. Right, I'm going to keep Dr. Milan. I'm going to... That might be useful. No, I'm just going to keep Dr. Milan, and then I'm going to draw another 5. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dr. Milan's twin brother. Ugh, that's not very good, really. Okay, fair enough. All right, so we've got Dr. Milan at least. Then we shuffle our deck again, because we don't like things too close together. Let's keep it nice and random. And then we can think about our first 3 actions today. The final part of the Night of the Zealots. What will happen? Okay. Action 1. There is no... Oh, hold on. Main path. Let's flip that over. Shroud of 2. 0 clues. The main path is connected to each other woods location. These are all woods locations. There's a resign ability here. Resign. There's nothing we can do to stop them. You flee the woods, leaving Arkham to its grisly fate. This is connected to each of these locations, but these locations are not currently connected to each other. So to go there, I would have to go back, I guess. Right. Dr. Milan. He's been our friend all the way through. Second action, move to Arkham Woods location. Flip that over. It's the unhallowed ground with a shroud of 4 and 1 single clue on it. Forced, after you enter this location, test 4 willpower. If you fail, take 1 damage and 1 horror. Willpower is 3. Let's chuck in unexpected courage to make it a 5 on 3. Nice, that's a pass. Discard that. So second action was move in. Third action is investigate. Can't do that fast. Right, well let's chuck in, hold on, I'm on 3, 4 versus 4, 5. Seven on 4. Put me on a +3. +3 on this test. 0 again. That's cool. They get discarded. I get my first clue. Third action done. Roland has a little rest. Enemy phase. There are no enemies in play. Upkeep phase. Reset all actions. Draw cards. Hand reminder. We have Dynamite Blast and Occult 32 now. Gain a resource. Final Doom goes on the agenda already, which means they all go away, and the agenda 1A flips over to reveal. Throughout the woods a shrieking cry echoes. From somewhere deeper in the forest a score of hideous voices answer the call, inhuman as the baying of hounds and yet articulate, repeating a singular name. Umudorth, Umudorth, Umudorth. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck and discard cards from the top until a monster enemy is discarded. Spawn that enemy at the main path and then place 1 doom on that enemy. So let's look for an enemy. We have Wizard of the Order. He is an enemy. He will go on the main path, put 1 doom on him. There we go. It went bad quick, didn't it? Okay, and then we are on agenda 2A. Ritual begins. Umudorth, Umudorth, Umudorth. The chanting builds in intensity, echoing in the cold air of the night. The sparse clouds in the sky coalesce above Arkham Woods, blotting out the faint light of the stars. Each enemy gets +1 fight and +1 evade. Put him on a 5 fight and a 3 evade. Right, so that triggered, and then because it triggered, this stuff happened, but we still have to draw a card from the encounter deck, which is Grasping Hands, Revelation. Test 3 evade. For each point I fail by, take a damage. I can't help myself with this test at all, so I'm going to be on -1 for this test. I need a +1. All the Elder Signs. I get a -1, so I fail by 2. I take 2 damage. I'm on 3. Okay. That goes away. Then it's us. So we don't really want to be where we are. I want a weapon, so I'm going to spend 2 to get the Colt out. Put 6 ammo on it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's 5, 6. 6 ammo on the Colt 32. That's a shame, isn't it? I can't afford that. So I will, second action, move in. Engage with the Wizard of the Order. Third action, attack the Wizard of the Order. I'm a 4. I'm 5. Ooh, that's such a bad idea. 4 on 5. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to do that. That's a disastrous idea. I'll take that back. I won't move in as my final action. He's not a hunter. So what I'll do as my final action is I will draw a card. Ugh, working a hunch, not going to help me against the wizard. Final action, done. So then, enemy phase. Hunters hunt, he's not a hunter. Enemies attack, no one in my location, I won't get attacked. Draw a card. Magnifying glass, gain a resource. Flip everything over, put 1 doom on the agenda. Take a bad card. This time we have a ghoul minion, which will engage with me immediately. It was a colossal and nameless blasphemy, with glaring eyes, and it held in its bony claws a thing that had been a man, gnawing at the head as a child nibbles at a stick of candy. Can you see that? Proper grim. Okay, so yes, things are not going well as ever. Let's fight this guy. He's 3 on. He's got 3 fights, so I'm 4 on 3. Let's shoot him. Still 4 on 3, but I'll get an extra 6 on him. 4 on 3. Instant fail. 4 on 3 again. Skull, -X. X is the number of monster enemies in play. He's a monster, he's not a monster, so that's -1. I was 4 on 3, which makes it 3 on 3, so that hits. And because I use my Colts, dead. Okay, and then third action, let's draw a card looking for something like anything that might help me. And then end of the round. Hunters hunt, not a hunter. Enemies attack, no enemies in my location. Flip everything over. Draw a card. Ooh, chaos. Overpower, useful. Gain a resource. Doom on the agenda. Bad things happen. Dissonant voices. Put dissonant voices into play in your threat area. You cannot play assets or events. Forced at the end of the round, discard dissonant voices. Okay. Right, let's go and deal with the wizard. So I will, first action, move down to the main path. Wizard engages with me. Fight the wizard with the gun using overpower. So I'm 4 on his 5. 6 on his 5. You know what? 7 on his 5. Is that right? 4, 5, 6, 7 against 5. Yeah, 7 against 5. +2. Cultist, -2. Place 1 doom on the nearest enemy. So 1 doom goes on the nearest enemy, which is the Wizard of the Order, but it was a -2, which means I succeeded because I was on a +2. That goes off him, and he goes away. He's dead now. Bye-bye, Wizard of the Order. So move in, fight. Then, third action, let's go to Arkham Woods, location number 2. Yeah, let's go there. Shroud of 3, 1 clue. When you move out of this location, test 3 intellect. If you fail, cancel the effects of the move. Okay, that's my third action. They're gone. Oh, that test was successful, so I draw a card. Magnifying glass again. Right, so I'm exhausted there. Then monsters do their thing, which is nothing. Draw a card. Vicious Blow, gain a resource. Flip everything over. Dissonant Voices gets discarded. 1 doom on the agenda. Encounter deck gives me Frozen in Fear. Revelation, put Frozen in Fear into play in your threat area. The first time you perform one of the following actions, move, fight or evade, each round it costs an additional action. Forced at the end of your turn, test 3 willpower. If you succeed, discard Frozen in Fear. Okay. First up, let's try and get this clue, shall we? We need 3 to advance the act, and I don't want to hang around. That's not move, fight or evade, so it's not going to cost us additional. Oh, here we go. Let's spend 2 to play a fast action, working a hunch. Gives me a clue at my location. That's a free action. Second action, I'm going to move into here, which is going to cost me 2 because of Frozen in Fear. First time you perform one of the following actions, move, fight or evade, each round it costs an additional action. Final action, move into Arkham Woods, location number 3. Shroud value of 2, 1 clue. So this is... Oh, let me just do this test. I couldn't have moved out unless I'd done that test, and it was 3 on 3, wasn't it? Let's make it a 5 on 3. So I'm +2 for this test, which I should have done to be able to leave Arkham Woods. What was I? 3, 4, 5, +2, -1. Yeah, so I would have succeeded that, but I should have done it before. Naughty John. Arkham Woods, yeah. So this location is investigated using evade instead of the skill indicated by the investigation attempt. That's not good because I'm rubbish at evading. Okay, so that's the end of my turn. I'm in Arkham Woods. Frozen in Fear dictates that I need to, at the end of my turn, test 3 willpower. My willpower is 3. I'll chuck in my dynamite. No, I won't chuck in my dynamite. I'm going to go 3 on 3. Just hope. -1, that's a fail. So that stays there. Then refresh all my actions because there's no enemies about. I will draw a card. Lita, gain a resource. It's all your fault, Lita. 1 doom on the agenda, which makes it 4 of 5. An encounter card gives us Grasping Hands. Test 3 evade. For each point you fail by, take a damage. Oh, it's punishing me. Well, I'm a -1 again. I've got nothing to chuck in to help me, so -1. 0. I fail by 1 point. I take 1 damage. I'll soak that up. Then it's back to us. So I'd like to get Lita out because she's cool. But I don't want to do that yet because I need to get this clue. Right, that goes away. You know what, I'm going to go to a different location. So I'm going to move out for 1 actually 2, and then move in here as my third action. Shroud of 1, no clues. Heal 1 damage or 1 horror, limit once per turn. That's absolutely useless to me. Oh dear. But never mind. At the end of your turn, test 3 willpower. If you succeed, discard Frozen in Fear. So I'm on 3 versus 3. 0 minus X is the number of monster enemies in play. There are none. So that's a success, and that goes away, which is great. Not always lost. Flip things over. Draw a card. No stone unturned. Choose an investigator at your location. That investigator searches the top 6 cards of his deck for a card, draws it, and shuffles the deck. Might be useful. Gain a resource and put 1 doom on the agenda, which takes us to the magic number 5 versus 5. All the doom goes away. This flips to take us to agenda 3A. Before that happens, we read this. The will of Umudorth. A dark presence approaches and you are assaulted by invisible pressures that bring you to your knees. A terrible force threatens to invade your mind and soul. Your throat clenches and your eyes water as a sensation burns through you. In player order, each investigator must test 6 willpower. Each investigator who fails must search the collection for a random basic madness weakness and add it to his or her hand. Alright, willpower 6. So I'm on 3. This isn't going to go well, is it? -4. That went very well. Very well. I failed successfully. Right, each investigator who fails must search the collection for a random basic madness weakness and add it to his or her hand. Okay, so I drew out earlier the random basic madness weaknesses from the core set because I had a feeling this might happen. And I have drawn the 13th Vision, which is a basic weakness. Add it to my hand. Revelation, put 13 vision into play in your threat area. Investigators at my location fail ties during skill tests, and it cost me 2 actions to discard that. Alright, so we now have a random basic madness weakness in there. And that goes there, and then we move on to Agenda 3A, Vengeance Awaits. The world begins to shift and change as ritual nears its conclusion. The air grows chilly and the entire forest is covered in a layer of rime. The trees bend unnaturally and their shadows lengthen into weird shapes. Forced, when this agenda advances, if the investigators are at Act 1, which we still are, put the set-aside ritual site into play and spawn the set-aside Umudorth there. If the investigators are Act 2 or 3, discard all enemies at the ritual site and spawn the set-aside Umudorth there. Okay. Right, so when that advances, we don't just go to 3B, we do something else. Okay, that's interesting. So that happened because that triggered, I had to put a random basic weakness in my hand. Then we still have the joy of the encounter deck, which spits out Umudor's Wrath. Revelation, test 5 willpower. For each point you fail by, I must either, well, let's not talk about that because we're not going to fail it, right? Because we're that good. Well, we are going to fail it because we're on -2. Oh dear. Ugh. Is it worth checking? I'm going to fail it, aren't I? -2. Ooh, it's the older thing. If -5, if there's an Ancient One enemy location in play, reveal another token. There isn't an Ancient One in play. I won't reveal another token, but I will fail that test. For each point you fail by, you must either choose one. Choose and discard a card from your hand or take 1 damage and 1 horror. Wow. So I failed by 5. Oh man. Right, I'll discard 3. So that saves us 3. So I've still got to take 2 damage and 2 horror. 2 horror on Milan. Kills him. Goodbye, Dr. Milan. 2 horror on me. 6 of 9. Sorry, 2 damage on me, 6 of 9. 1 card left in my hand. That was a beast of a card and a shockingly bad token that got pulled out. Here we are. So it's our turn again. I am going to spend 2 actions to get rid of this dreadful curse, so that can go in my discard pile. Then I will spend 1 action to heal 1 damage and 1 horror. So 1 horror goes away. And 1 damage healed. Oh, or 1 horror. Take that damage back. Take that horror back. Once per turn. So that was my first action. Oh no, third action, wasn't it? Because I got rid of that, which was 2. So that's me done. Then, monster phase. Nothing happens in the monster phase. Draw a card. Hypochondria. Oh. Right. Okay. Revelation. Add hypochondria to your threat area. Forced. After you take 1 or more damage, take 1 direct horror. 2 actions to discard that, so it's just eating up my turns. Wow, wow, wow. Then gain a resource, which is the good news. Doom goes on the agenda. 1 of 5. Encounter deck now gives us Acolyte. Spawn at an empty location. Forced. After the Acolyte enters play, place 1 Doom on him. So he's there with his Doom on him. Over to us again. Ooh. I don't want hypochondria, do I? Let's spend 2 actions to get rid of that. Final action. Draw a card. Scene of the crime. Play as your first action, discover a clue at the location. Useful. Right. Gain a resource. Draw a card. Was my final action. Then at the end of the round, enemies do their thing. He does nothing. Draw a card. Gain a resource. Already got the resource. Doom on the agenda. Encounter deck. Mysterious chanting. Hex. Revelation. Place 2 Doom on the nearest cultist enemy. Wow. 3 Doom on him. Puts us on 5 as 5, but that will not trigger that. If there are no cultist enemies in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a cultist enemy and draw it. Well, there are. There's Mr. Acolyte there, so that's fine. So we have to kill him this round. Otherwise, we're going to be advancing the agenda again. So it's our turn. I'm going to play Lita, move in, Acolyte comes to me. We no longer have that +1 fight, +1 evade thing because we moved on the agenda, so our Acolyte friend is now 3 fight, so I will fight him, play Lita, move in, fight the Acolyte. I am 4 on his 3 and +1. I've got Lita and +2. +2. Cultist. -X. X is the number of monster enemies in play. There are none. Acolyte just had a bad day. He's dead. That's one of these annoying cultists gone. Great, that's good news. So he's gone away. Then it is the end of our round. Monsters do their thing. No monsters. Refresh. Draw a card. Scene of the crime again. Gain a resource. Doomy McDoom. Good job you killed that Acolyte. Encounter deck gives us Rotting Remains. Test 3 willpower. For each point you fail by, take a horror. This card, man, has been the bane of my life. I'm 3 on 3. I'm going to do that to make it a +1. +1. -2, so I fail by 1 and I take 1 horror. It's been worse, right? 1 horror, going to give that to Lita. It's her fault anyway. And then it's our turn, so I can only play that as my first action, so I can't move up there and then use that to get that clue, but I need that clue, so I'm going to move up there anyway. Then I will draw a card, second action. Wow, emergency cash up to the eyeballs. And then I will draw another card. Guard dog, love him. Right, lovely. Then enemy phase, nothing happens. Refresh. Draw a card. In the know. That's the good one, it would have been useful earlier. Gain a resource. Doom 4 of 5. Encounter deck. Mysterious chanting again. Place 2 Doom on the nearest cultist enemy. If there is no cultist enemies in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a cultist enemy, draw it and shuffle the encounter deck. Well, let's search the discard pile for an acolyte. Pop in that there. Oh, sorry, shuffle the encounter deck. So all of this stuff goes back in here. So that nasty stuff that came out is now back in. Acolyte comes out with 1 Doom on him, but that won't again trigger that because it doesn't happen until the beginning. It doesn't happen at this point in the Mythos phase, unless the card stipulates otherwise. Right. Encounter deck shuffled. Back up there. That goes away. So now we can, as our first action, spend 2, discover a clue at your location. That goes away. Then we can spend 3 clues. It's not an action. It doesn't say we have to wait till the end of the round. So first action was the scene of the crime. This isn't an action to advance this. Unveiling the plan. Scattered throughout the forest, you see glyphs and arcane signals in various places, etched into the bark of trees, carved upon the faces of stones, and dripping in blood upon the ground. Though you cannot decipher these glyphs, you notice that most of them tend to face south. Following these signs leads you by twists and turns towards a cave in the darkest and coldest part of the forest. As you advance, shadowy figures emerge from the trees, blocking the only path to the cave. Set the put aside ritual site into play if it's not already. These are our set aside cards from earlier, remember? Ritual site into play. Search the collection for each enemy recorded in your campaign log under cultists who got away and spawn those enemies in the main path. Right, okay. So anticipating this was going to happen, I've searched already, and here are the 5 cultists who got away. Remember, there were 6 unique cultists, but because we were on Agenda 2 when we died last time, he wasn't included. So we now have this huge crew of cultists in the main path. Right, spawn those enemies in the main path. Then we go on to Act 2A, Into the Darkness. The remaining cultists have followed you into the woods to try to stop you, and now they've blocked the path to your objective. They stand ominously between the overhanging trees, silent sentinels in the night. You must defeat them or sneak past if you are to gain access to the site of their ritual objective. If an investigator enters the ritual site, advance. So the ritual site's here now, and we can get to the ritual site from the main path. If you see this little plus icon here, it matches this plus icon on the top left, so there's a direct path from there to there. But we're not going there anytime soon until we've dealt with just the 6 enemies that are in our way. Oh lordy lordy, what I wouldn't give for my dynamite now. Not keen to go down there really, if I'm honest. Not keen at all. Let's just have a little look at these guys individually just to see. Acolyte 312, Herman Collins 4/4/4. Wolfman Drew heals himself after you attack him. Ruth Turner, we can parlay with her. Oh no, we can evade her, but there's no chance I'm evading anyone because I've got lead boots on. And then Peter Warren, humanoid cultist, 2/3/3, spawn, doesn't matter. Spend 2 clues to parlay with him, which we haven't got, so that's not going to happen. Can't parlay, can't parlay. Oh, we could parlay with her, we've got 5 resources. So that's something we could do. Can't parlay with her because I can't evade her. Wolfman Drew heals himself. Herman Collins, discard 4 cards from hand to parlay with him, potentially. Any of them hunters? No, so they're literally just going to sit there and wait for us to come down. This ain't good. This is not good. Right, things to do to help us now. Who does the most damage? Right, I'm not going down there just yet. Let's draw a card. Knife. Draw another card. Machete. That's the end of my turn, right? So, then enemy phase, like I said, none of these guys hunt, so they're all going to stay there and just ominously threaten me and make me feel very uncomfortable about my situation. Refresh, draw a card, it's another knife, gain a resource. 1 doom on the agenda will now take us above the threshold. That didn't count from last time, so all of this doom goes away. And then if you remember, it says when this agenda advances, if the investigators are Act 2 or 3, we're on Act 2, discard all enemies at the ritual site and spawn the set aside Ummeldorf there. Okay, so the doom goes away, we're on Act 2, discard all enemies at the ritual site, there aren't anybody there, and then we set Ummeldorf there. So this is now the big bad boss. Ummeldorf is here to play. He's called the Devourer Below. He's got a strength of 5, health of 6 and 6 evade. He's an ancient one and elite. Massive hunter. Ummeldorf gets +4 health per investigator, so his health is actually 10. Forced at the end of each investigator's turn, ready Ummeldorf. If you control Lita Chandler, oh hello, we've got an action. If you control Lita Chandler, it's only after her you throw Lita Chandler to Ummeldorf in order to spare your lives. So we could find a way to get past these guys, go in there and just sacrifice Lita. That's funny. Right, let's check our hand size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Agenda advanced. Still have to draw one of these. Mysterious chanting. Place 2 doom on the nearest cultist enemy. If there are no cultist enemies in play. There's all the cultist enemies in play. Alright, so let's put 2 on, I don't know, let's just pop them on. Does it really matter? The Acolyte. At this point, does it really matter? If there are no cultists in play, then you draw one and shuffle, but we don't need to draw one because we've got them all. It's the full collection, it's like Pokemon. Now, fighting options, what have we got? We are so limited. We are going to die horrifically if we go in there. If only I had dynamite. Should we dig for dynamite again? That would be funny, wouldn't it? 3 damage would kill both of those. Take these guys down to 1 and kill him. Let's fish for dynamite. Action 1, dynamite please. No. Action 2, dynamite please. No. How many cards have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, another action, dynamite please. No again. End of my round. Hunter's Hunt, massive hunter. Moves towards me. Refresh all tokens. draw a card, gain a resource, check hand size, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Got this card down to 8, so anything that's not going to help me in a fight is going. Those. What else have we got? Guard dog's good, knife is good, machete's good. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's discard art student. Just give me some horror soap, but no good. Right, then, top of the round. One doom goes on the agenda. Bad things happen. Because it is going so well. I mean, really. Oh, look! It's another monster. Young deep one. Humanoid monster, deep one. Prey, lowest fight, that's me. Hunter, after the deep one engages you, take a horror. So it will engage with me immediately. I will automatically take one horror. Put it on Lita. It's your fault anyway, Lita, right? And then it's my turn. Wow. Can I take an attack from Uldor? 3 health and 3 sanity. Yes, I can. I could potentially survive this round. If I can get rid of the young deep one, survive this round, wait for Uldor to come in, sacrifice Lita. It's all your fault. Let's do that. Right, so our turn. Attack the young deep one. He's a strength of 3. Mine's 4. 5 with Lita. Spend an ammo. Chuck in a knife. 4, 5, with +1 damage. 6, so I'm on a +3. +3. Young deep one, +3, young deep one. -2, yes, that's a success. Young deep one takes 1 damage from me, 1 damage from the ammo. When investigates at your location successfully attacks a monster enemy, that investigator does 1 damage, 3 damage. That is a young deep one, dead. In 1 hit. Badassery. So let's just double check. I can survive this attack, can't I, when this guy comes in? He will hunt in and then he will attack me for 3 health, which will put me on 8 of 9. 3 sanity, which will put me on 4 of 5. And then if nothing bad comes out in the encounter phase, I can literally sacrifice Lita next round. That is my only hope. That is my only hope. Can't afford for Lita to die. Yeah. Right, I'm not going to draw a card because I'm scared. I'm not going to gain a resource. I don't know. Do I draw a card? Is it going to be useful? It's not going to be useful really, is it? I could end up drawing something horrible. Well, something might help me in the test though. So I will draw a card. No stone unturned. That is helpful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, let's not draw another one. I'll gain a resource just for kicks. And then that's it. Hunter's Hunt. So Uldor comes to me, does me 3 damage and 3 sanity. 3 and 3. I survived that, but I'm not happy. Draw a card. Overpower. Gain a resource. Check hand size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fine. Doom on the agenda. Rotting Remains. Test 3. For each point you fail by, take a horror. This is going to be bad because if I take the horror, oh no, I just don't want to fail this test. Right, is there anything that can help me? Oh, this could go so badly wrong now. All I've got 2 +2. So, test willpower. I'm on 3 versus 3. Question mark, makes me 5 on 3. I have no other willpower icons. I'm on a +2 for this test. This is tense now. I've got to pass this test. +2. Cultist. -2. That's fine. Place 1 doom on the nearest enemy. That'll be him. Sweet, sweet relief. That goes away. Encounter phase done. Our turn. This guy's massive. And he's got 10 health. Is there any chance I could kill him this round? Is that a ridiculous notion? He's not a monster, so I won't get +1 for that. So no, I can't. That would be hilarious though, wouldn't it, if I just killed him? But that's not going to happen. The only option I've got right now is if you control Lita Chandler, it's only after her. You throw Lita Chandler to Umudorth in order to spare your lives. Bye, Lita. Action 1. Cast her into the gaping maw of Umudorth. And then go to Resolution 3. Resolution 3. That was a bit cowardly of us really, wasn't it? But hilarious nonetheless. Resolution 3. In the face of this horror, you don't believe there's anything you can do to stop it. You have but one hope if you are to survive. You turn on Lita and throw her at the terrible monstrosity, watching in dread as its swirling void-like mass consumes her. She cries out in torment as if the life is sucked from her body. Umudorth, Umudorth, the cultists chant. Lita Chandler vanishes without a trace. For a moment, you fear that the creature will now turn on you, but you hear one of the cultists say, Umudorth is a just God, who claims only the guilty and the dead. Go, and you shall be spared. The swirling mass vanishes, and warmth and light return to the woods. The cultists slink away, leaving you alive. Lita's last moments are forever etched upon your memory. In your campaign log, record that the investigators sacrificed Lita Chandler to Umudorth. I'm alright with that. Each investigator suffers 2 physical trauma and 2 mental trauma. Oh no! As the mere sight of Umudorth has taken its toll on his or her body and mind, so I'm dead anyway. The guilt over sacrificing Lita forever haunts your memory. Each investigator must search the collection for a random madness weakness and add it to his or her deck. Another one. Haha! Look! It's Frank from Drawn to the Flame. A very, very excellent podcast. So that goes into my deck. Frank's in there, look. It's got paranoia. Each investigator earns experience equal to the victory X value of the cards in the victory display. Well, none. Shockingly, none. The investigators have survived, but their actions weigh heavily on their conscience. Well, technically Roland didn't, because he both died and went mad. And then it says the end, or is it? At the end of a campaign, the experience, trauma and weakness granted by the final scenario resolution allow the players to feel the full consequences of their action. The investigators made many decisions and actions, as recorded in their campaign log, form the outline of their story. Players are encouraged to share the results of their stories and their investigators' final deck online at the FinalFantasyFlightGames.com forum or on social media. Don't need to, because you guys have seen it, right? Well, that's the end of our playthrough of Arkham Horror, the card game, the Night of the Zealot campaign. Thanks very much for watching all 3 videos if you had the stomach for it. I know they're fairly long and I'm fairly tedious, so I appreciate your stoicism. A couple of shouts out. Thanks very much to Seb for doing the intro to the videos that have been put up on Tabletop Republic's website. Does a brilliant job. And also to Tom for doing the editing, because you know, there was an awful lot of mistakes made that you actually don't see in these videos, which still have mistakes in them, and he did a brilliant job of editing. So thanks very much, Tom and Seb. Love you guys, you're awesome. And hopefully, yeah, I'll do some more videos soon. But yeah, leave some comments if you want different content to be recorded. If you want more playthroughs, great, we can do that. Leave a comment, tell me what campaign you want me to run through, or a single shot. And And if you want other content videos like I did about the new Investigator decks, give me a shout. So yeah, please leave some comments. Thank you very much for your time. Love you loads. See you in the shop soon. Bye.